Number one is to write the fraction 7/6 out as a decimal. You might not think that we'll see a lot of fractions in this class, but this is actually a pretty important one, a pretty basic idea that we will see. The idea that a fraction bar is basically another way of showing a division. You're dividing. 7/6 just means 7 divided 6 ways. In other words, 7 divided by 6 is what that is. You can do that longhand if you want to. 7 into 6 goes in once. A little bit of a remainder goes in once again. So 1.1 something is where we're headed. Just do it on your calculator is fine too. 7 divided by 6 gives you 1.166666. In this class, I'm not going to be real picky about how you round things. 1.66666 or 1.17 is fine. 1.12 is fine. If you did a longhand and just quit there, put 1.1. Any of those would be fine. I would accept any of those. For our online quizzes, there would be multiple choice anyway. And so for a multiple choice quiz, I wouldn't get this picky. There would be one answer that's close to the right one, and the others would be fairly different. So there's a rule for this. You take the top, divide it by the bottom. The problem with rules, though, the rule-oriented approach to doing things is that it's easy to get rules turned around. It's easy to forget them. If you don't use a rule for a while, it's natural to not remember it later. And so, there's a rule for this, but you can't remember how it goes. Probably the most common wrong way to do this, it'd be really easy to turn it around. You remember that something gets divided, but maybe you go the other way, 6 divided by 7. That, like I say, is the most common wrong answer. If you do that, you get something less than 1. You get like 0.8, 5, 7, something around 0.86. But one thing I want to stress in this class is not so much learning a lot of rules for doing math, but if you can, try to think more in terms of what the symbols mean. We're not going to do that much, in the way of different kinds of math. So, just a few kind of basic things. Again, that's, I think, the big difference between people who just find math a real challenge and don't understand it, or people that find math, just comes real naturally to them, is, do the symbols have some meaning for you? Can you visualize, kind of how big you're talking about? Again, 7/6 means, 7 divided 6 ways. You could think of, 7 pies. 7 pies, and then divide them between 6 people. 6 people, you could all each get 1 whole pie, and then you could divide up the last one into 6, and each person could get a 6th of that as well. So, 1 and a 6th actually is another form of the answer. That these decimals are the same as 1 and 1/6. So you're going to get something more than 1 if you have that sort of a fraction. Whereas 6 divided by 7, that's less than 1. That's what would happen if you had 6 pies and you had to divide them between 7 people. You wouldn't have enough for one pie per person.